I'm just wondering why that didn't work.
Never mind.
Yeah.
There, I just so you know, I'll tell them too, that that dot on the ceiling is the microphone.
Okay,
And it's very sensitive.
okay.
So.
Sit on top
So
of
we'll hear everything you say, Jim.
Me? Carissa, that dot is the microphone and it's
So if
very
I-
sensitive. And I think we're on
I don't
now.
have anybody talking to me.
You know I don't.
It's like size and sniffles, and it gets hot. Crazy. Very sensitive.
We are on TV right now for the.
Peyton Sue was her name.
He said, do I have to be outside? I would not want you to go 8:39.
And that was this, right?
Should.
Yes, he just got home as I was leaving.
That I'm, well, everybody is. I was gonna say I learned something.
He said.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's gonna be here.
You showing any grandbaby?
I already saw him. I know. I love it.
Hannah,
And then, yes.
I have a hard copy.
I don't know why I can't on this.
I got 4 granddaughters and a great granddaughter.
We
I
don't,
need a
we
point.
don't have any grandsons or grandkids.
And all I got is boys.
All we're getting is girls.
We do have some attendees.
All right.
This
All right.
So then so now you're in, right? Save password, expert to save password. So you don't have to do that next time, right? Or I don't have to do that next time, or whatever. All right, so you're gonna go.
Sure, I can press.
Some people don't like the first baby, like a six and they're having a boy.
And then you're gonna follow the lead.
Oh, wow.
Find the leader. So when I click, I don't go in,
So all you're.
Granddaughters are what?
you're automatically gonna go to.
All girls.
Okay? It's like, it's magic. It's like.
It's like, we're in school, that's raise your hand, buddy, that's it. I've been raising my hand. He's getting.
Go back.
That bottom down.
No.
And go.
Scott's hitting.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're fine.
Oh, I thought you were, I thought,
It was.
Nope, Scott's good.
okay. All right, so Mr. Johnson, take a look at your screen. Did it change to number 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, and now you're on public forum, okay. So you won't have to worry about where you're at, as long as I know where we're at, we're good. If I get lost, I don't know what we're gonna do. That's why I'm sitting up here, so Scott and I won't always sit up at this table. So we can- Instead of going.
Hey, I'm not gonna complain.
Hey, guys, none of you guys leave tonight.
And then all the leaders.
Everybody has to sign this after.
Perfect. Everyone has to
You have to
what?
sign
And then, did
the
it
budget.
change to the next item?
Actually, I think it's 3.
Mhm. Yes, and then now we're on 2. Yep.
You got us, Hannah.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I wasn't listening to you.
Well, she's only a freshman. She's more community or you have more community?
We got
That's why when you small paper. You might, so that's.
You are so smart.
Yeah, that makes sense because that's a. She,
He's good, he just got home. And it's Danny's birthday, so
no.
they're girl boy.
Fill them up
And
and
then he just.
This wasn't the. No, last week, I didn't go to this because single A, they.
Put people down.
Double A.
Right.
Triple A.
I guess I didn't even realize that.
All right, here it is. Almost time to start.
6:29 is what I got.
All right, so now.
Okay, so we're gonna do it at 10. But they still have to call.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think we're.
Yep, we are almost there. Okay, there it is. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go ahead and call, this isn't the regular scheduled meeting, this is the budget hearing, which the regular board meeting will follow immediately. So if everybody please stand and move the flag right here, all right?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
John Riverton,
Here.
Andy Graham,
Here.
Moto Johnson,
Here.
Nikki Pettit. Here. Joe Robinson. Mitch Wilson. Tyler Wilson.
Here.
So just so all of you know, Mitch is currently taking the boys that qualified to state down there, so that's what we got. And Mr. Robinson has to go to work at 11:30 tonight, so he's getting some much needed. They both reached out to me and told me what was going on, so.
Next is motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, motion to approve the agenda for tonight's budget hearing.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, could I have a second, please?
I second.
Okay, guys, hold on. This is our first
Sorry,
time
this is our
using this.
first time, so.
All right, and who made the motion?
I made the motion.
So Mark Evans, Steve made.
Odo made the second.
And Moto seconded. All right. And then we have to have a vote. John Brotherton,
Aye.
Andy Graham,
Aye.
Moto Johnson.
Aye.
Nikki Pettit. Aye. Tyler Wilson.
Aye.
That's it.
Now it took us to the public forum. All right. Please bear with us. We have a brand new
It's a brand new
software system
system.
that tracks it also. All right.
Did anybody sign up for public hearing?
We have two different ones, so make sure.
Okay, this is only gonna be for the budget, is that right?
Yep.
Right, it's the one with the,
Budget, nobody signed up for the budget.
okay.
Go to the next.
Okay. So now we're looking for an adjournment of the budget hearing. Need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Brotherton with the motion, Ms. Pettit with the second.
Mhm. All right, Mr. Brotherton,
Vote aye, yes.
Andy Graham,
Aye.
Moto Johnson,
Aye.
Nikki Pettit.
Aye.
Tyler Wilson.
All right.
Okay. Now we're ready to start our regular meeting. Can we get a call to order for the regular meeting? That's me, and roll call again.
John Brotherton,
Here.
Andy Graham,
Here.
Moto Johnson,
Here.
Nikki Pettit. Here. Tyler Wilson.
Here.
Joe Robinson, Mitch Wilson.
And go to the next thing. All right.
Okay, we can
Approve the agenda.
approve the agenda first, John.
Okay. Bring this one here.
We have a motion to,
I'll make the motion.
There is one correction that we need to note. It's in the notes that are up here right now, but item number 13, when I listed it, I put it in as the 2021-22 budget amendment, which hasn't happened yet. So it is intended to be for the 2020-21 budget amendment, and the documents that were posted were related to that fiscal year. So when Hannah does the meeting minutes, she will adjust it at that time. So I just want to make sure the board's aware that that's included in the motion.
I did.
Okay. Roll call, Hannah?
All right, Mr. Brotherton?
Aye.
Mr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Pettit? And Tyler Wilson.
Okay. Public comments, Mr. Brunson, who do you have? Okay. Lois,
Yes.
step forward, please.
Execution.
What'd you say?
I didn't say nothing.
All right.
I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention that something happened to me as a community member from a board member. I was at an event and I was approached that they needed to talk to me. So I walked over and I said, oh, this lady's going to the principal's office. I was informed by the board member, I'm not gonna mention any names here or anything, guys, so, that they understand from being told that I have a problem with their kids not being registered in our schools. And I started to say something and got a finger put in my face telling me I'm talking. I proceeded to listen, and I just got this spill about being told, being this, and I said, excuse me, but I said, I never said what you're saying, and whoever told you that's a lie. The problem is with this situation is it was at a function that we were attending. It was inappropriate. The finger in the face was inappropriate. And to tell me that this needs to stop. Profanity was used. I will not tolerate this. Now, let me explain if the gentleman heard anything. It was that I do not feel that if you're on the school board in a major capacity as president or vice president, your children should be in this school. What kind of example are you showing these parents? I understand there are situations, I really, really do. But you know what? Let me just put it this way. You guys better not ever approach me as a community member like that again. I think it was uncalled for, not as a function. And some people know me here, and when I was done getting chewed up one side and down the other, I said, okay, are we good? We gonna hug it out now? And I walked away. Okay? My husband was standing like right here. He let me handle this. My husband does not fight battles. But I'm telling you, this he said, she said, they said has got to stop. You should not put your finger in anybody else's face. All right? Over the fact that you don't have your kids in the school system. Okay, my personal opinion, they need to be in the school system. President, vice president, secretary, whatever you are. If you have kids, they need to be in that system. Remember, the community votes for you people. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Liz.
You're welcome.
I have one thing I'm gonna squeeze in. There are no other public comments, right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm gonna squeeze one in. I think I can do this. So I'm gonna introduce Mr. Marcellus Gray, who's back there. Say hi. All right. So you have an opportunity to squeeze this in before the personnel report. So Marcellos is going to be our new director of finance, and hopefully you'll approve it because he's been working here since last Friday. So Marcellos brings over 20 years of experience in business and leadership encompassing both corporate administration and public education. He has earned a master's degree in business administration at SIU in 1997 a Chief School Business Officer certification, and a professional educator's license, both at NIU in 2019. In 1994, he started his business career as a district manager for Coca-Cola Bottling Company in Chicago. He has worked in various management and leadership positions for American Family Insurance as district manager in Phoenix and state sales director in Kansas City, Missouri. In 2013, he made a career change to enter the field of education, working with the Urbana School District, where he began as an elementary school building substitute, progressed to a middle school teaching assistant, moved to an adult education instructor, and finished as the development and finance coordinator for Urbana Adult Education. During his stewardship of the Urbana Adult Education's business office, he has expanded the youth and workforce education programs, and he has forged strong partnerships within the community for the organization. He currently serves as the board treasurer for Cunningham Children's Home and as a board member for the Champaign West Rotary Club. A native of Champaign-Urbana, Marcellus enjoys community service, long walks, short runs, grilling with his wife, Amanda, their children who live at home, and their dog, Sheba. He didn't mention the name of his children, but well, we won't hold that against him. So we're really excited to have Marcellus. I guess I want to make sure the board understands that having a finance director who has the chief school business officer certification is a really big deal. And I think that that's a great asset for us in our district that he brings that experience with him. So hopefully in a few minutes, the board will vote to approve you and hire you. So we're not supposed to talk to you though right now. So I think you introduced yourself before the board. Most everybody.
Thank you. Okay, item number 8 is the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted by a single motion and subsequent roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which the event that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered as the first item after the consent agenda. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion. A second.
So can we read the full motion?
Okay.
Just on this one.
Okay. So me to read it?
Yeah.
I'll read it.
Which one it is?
I'll read it. Motion to approve the consent agenda items, including personnel report, as submitted with the stipulation that each individual is required to comply with all requirements for new hires as indicated in the Illinois statutes and RCS board policy and procedure, including ratification of bills prepaid by the finance manager under board policy 450.
John Brotherton,
Aye.
Andy Graham,
Aye.
Moto Johnson,
Aye.
Nikki Pettit, Tyler Wilson.
Aye. And I don't, the version I printed for you didn't have the motion in it. Sorry about that. Number 9, which is number 10. Sure. Item number 10 is board committees and participation. So we did talk about it at last month's meeting a little bit about what we want to do in terms of organizing board committees. So I did a little checking. And so the first part up here shows that according to board policy, there are 3 standing committees. I checked with the district's attorney. 2 of those committees should be meeting at least annually. So in my recommendation below, it says that you're basically telling me to go ahead and start to organize and hold those meetings. Interestingly, a board committee of those types don't require board members to be part of them, but they are committees of the board. And I think the intent would be is that we would invite at least 2 board members to participate in those. And those are the Parent Teacher Advisory Committee and the Behavioral Interventions Committee. And those are 2 that are required. And then the next piece that I'd like to be doing with this is in order to increase board involvement, recommending that board members be invited to participate in district committees as they occur. This is something that we've done in the past, but on a pretty limited basis. So for instance, Mr. Graham was on the acceleration committee and was attending those when it was meeting. There's a standards-based grading committee right now, and it would make sense for us to include a board member or two or to attend those. So we would inform board of those committees, invite you to participate, make sure you're informed of them. Now, the other ones that I, as superintendent, am planning to start up where I would like the board to have a voice at the table are committees such as Finance Committee, where we would review budgetary items with Mr. Gray. And Buildings and Grounds and Facilities is one where we meet with Ms. Clark, who is the Director of Facilities. It's complicated. Is that less complicated than I thought? And a Personnel Committee, which that was actually something envisioned by the Social Equity Working Group, where we would be looking at hiring practices and recruitment. So part of the way I've structured this is, just so you're aware, if it's a committee of the board, like the Board Policy Committee or the Parent Teacher Advisory Committee, those are subject to Open Meetings Act rules. If I'm inviting board members to attend things that are already going on in the district, it doesn't fall under Open Meetings Act. But any of these meetings, just so you're aware, we're taking notes, we have agendas, and those would be available to anyone in the public, okay? So the motion that I'm suggesting is to approve the recommendation that what I explained, so let me explain it one more time. We would formally start up those two committees that are there from the board policy, and then you all understanding that I'm moving forward with establishing some committees, and have some existing committees, and we would reach out to board members to include you in those.
Yes, we'll need a motion to
Is
approve.
there
Any discussion before we have a motion? No? Okay. Then I will need a motion to approve these and give Mr. Woods the direction to start these committees.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Tyler Wilson and Ms. Pettit.
Yep, got it.
Okay.
I'm gonna be awesome at this.
And we don't need a roll call.
this is a voice vote, so good luck.
Voice vote.
So do you call it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
That made it easy.
I don't know how you're doing with your new system. How are we doing voice votes?
If there was a no vote, she'd have to go.
I just have to
Okay.
put down.
All right.
All right.
And I really, this next topic, property liability workers' compensation insurance, I had to do some homework on it to make sure I understand it. So I'm gonna do my best to explain it to you. But essentially, we contract with a risk management company called Bushu. And I'm probably saying it wrong. And they go out and they shop our various insurance policies that we need to have. So these insurance policies, the policy that we're approving has to do with our property and our liability. And I did go through, interesting to note, in the, because we've got a lot about cyber threats in the news, the single largest increase to our insurance for property, casualty, liability, and workers' comp is related to cyber liability. So that increased from 3,600 to 12,900. And that kind of makes sense to me with everything that's going on in the world, that it's going to start costing us more to protect ourselves from what might happen. So there is a cover letter in the packet that does discuss how the various ways things are increasing. So it's ensuring the total property in the district. It's also the liability and the workers' compensation components in there. It is a pretty large increase if you looked at the letter. In total, it's 15.43% of an increase. But according to the risk management company, unfortunately, that's nothing unusual right now in those categories. And compared to what we pay for something like health insurance, just so we're aware, this is a lot smaller in terms of overall costs. If we had a 14% increase in health insurance, that'd be a lot more concerning. So,
We've seen it.
all right.
Okay, so we can get a motion to approve this contract, please.
I move to
Okay.
contract.
Ms. Pettit has made a motion.
I second.
Mr. Johnston, a second.
John Brotherton,
Aye.
Andy Graham,
Aye.
Moto Johnson,
Aye.
Nikki Pettit,
Aye.
Tyler Wilson.
All right, the next item is not an action item. I put it on here specifically for discussion. And at the last board meeting, there was in the financials approved the purchase of some marquees outside of the school for all 5 schools. And that purchase, I want to say it was $104,000 altogether. So a community member questioned that and led me to question it and make sure that we were doing things the right way. I'm happy to report that we were doing things the right way. And when I say I checked, it means I have to call one of the attorneys and say, did we do this the right way? I looked all over and just trying to make sure. And I thought it would be prudent for us just to talk a little bit about when does something need to go out to bid, because that was part of the community member's question. And in general, I guess I gave you this lovely handout, which really you only need to look at the first 2 pages and you have it all in front of you. But what I've gathered, and I'm going to try to put it into layman's terms. If we go out to purchase anything over $25,000 or more, we need to ask ourselves the question, the administration, does this need to be something that we bid on? Okay, and it depends. But any purchases we're making under $25,000 are not going to require a bid. Definitely if we get up to $50,000, so there's caveats. So I learned there's all these little rules, right? And I'm looking at Jenny first. She's going to bail me out if I say something wrong. There's all these rules about what we do and do not have to bid. So yesterday, we're beginning the formal bid process for Mina Thompson and the demolition there. So yesterday, that's a very large project that we know is going to be much higher than 50,000, which is the limit on construction projects. So we've been working with the attorney to go through the process to make sure we've done the formal bid. So it's a combination with the attorneys and the architects.
The architect pretty much does.
Architect does it all, okay.
Yeah.
So the architect has been doing it all. He was here this week and met with the contractors that are potentially bidding on it. And so there is a very long formal process that requires postings, all of that for those projects. So the question then on the one from last week with the marquees is, well, $104,000, is that a construction project? Should it have been bid? And the people doing the bidding seem to know that, or doing the process. So Jenny seems to know that already, which is great. And it was more me just learning the process. So if you look on the handout, there is an exemption under letter G, which is purchases and contracts for the use, purchase, delivery, movement, or installation of data processing equipment, software, or services, and telecommunications and interconnect equipment, basically technology. So technology purchases are not going to necessarily fall under the formal bidding process. And so the formal bidding process is pretty lengthy when we have to go into that. Now, another item that is on the agenda, I think it's in 2 items from now, which is the the guaranteed energy savings, that's written right there, guaranteed energy savings contract that we're looking to do. So now we're talking about a $200,000+ contract. So did that need to be bid? And definitely not, because regardless of what's in this document, which talks about the different exemptions, if you are doing a project, it could be a construction project that reduces your energy costs, and over the course, I think it's over 20 years. I'm doing good, I'm passing. All right, over the course of 20 years, if it pays for itself. So we're doing an LED lighting project, and that project will pay for itself in energy savings over time. So in that one, we have to do a request for proposals, which is essentially seeking, it does have requirements where we have to publish it and seek out multiple offers to do the job. So it's kind of like, and on that one, it's more like when you're doing a project in your house and you call 3 companies and make sure you get it. So you get the best price you can get. But you really have some more discretion on an RFP as to which vendor or contractor you go with. In the bid process, you have to go with the lowest bidder. Except there are 11 pages of exceptions as to why you don't have to go with the lowest bidder, also included in here. So so part of it, I'm just kind of coming back to the board right now to say that, you know, we all want to make sure we're being good stewards of the district's money. And, you know, I want to just share back that we are following all the rules. And I did share that with the community member after I investigated it. Another item came up in our discussion at the end of the last board meeting, really looking at some of those financials, so the day-to-day purchases that were in the, which document is that called? It's basically the checkbook document that's in the board packet. How do we make sure we're getting the lowest price on those items? If it's under $25,000, there's a lot of discretion on the part of the administrators and the people making the purchase. So I'll give an example though, because I want you to know we are looking for the lowest price for the product, but we're also considering, is it the product we want? So we're working on doing a school district newsletter, and so Hannah gets the job of, I helped create the newsletter with all the building administrators, and Hannah, this is what I want it to look like. So now she gets on the phone and email, and she's calling different printing companies locally and getting bids for those. But it's going to be $1,500 or $1,600 total. We don't have to go through a formal bid process for that. But we're also not just going with one company that we know and just making a purchase of that size, because that's still a pretty big size to spend on it. So I just want to make sure you're all aware of it and give us an opportunity to have some conversation about purchasing, because that did seem to come up at the last meeting. And I know I've talked with some of you other things, like if you are in those financial documents, you know, and you're looking at it and you have a question about something, I can definitely find out the answer. I probably can't do it right in a board meeting. So when I was asked about a couple specific purchases, and again, thankfully Jenny was in the meeting and could explain what they were. But for any item that we purchase in the district, there is a process for making that purchase, and there is documentation that goes with that purchase. So it's anything from receipts if you go out to lunch to the invoices and purchase orders, and then we have to identify that we've received the items after they've been purchased, and we have to track all that. And there's an audit that we do annually. And thankfully Marcellus is here because that audit is it's in July.
In July.
You get a month to get ready for the audit. You know, any irregularities, anything unusual with purchasing, you know, we would be upfront about it with the board. But the plan is that we don't have irregularities. And we are seeking out the best costs for the district. So, okay, now I'm really going to say, do you have any questions, discussion?
Well, thank you for taking the time, because I think it helps everybody. That's new sitting here, old sitting here, people watching. So thank you.
Any?
Ready?
All right.
Woo-hoo.
Okay, item number 13. This is approving our budget amendment that we had the hearing on before the board meeting. So could somebody please make the motion to approve the final budget amendment as presented? Mr. Brunson with the motion.
A second.
Ms. Pettit with the second.
John Brotherton,
Aye.
Andy Graham,
Aye.
Noto Johnson,
Aye.
Nikki Pettit,
Aye.
Tyler Wilson.
And we do ask board members that you stick around real quick at the end of the meeting, because there's the front page of that budget amendment. Hannah's going to ask you to sign it to show how you
Each one
voted.
of you have to sign it.
All right, so here we are. This is the energy savings contract, is the number 14. Jenny did mention it at the last board meeting that this was ongoing, and that we had a request for proposal out. We received three we'll call them bids, even though it's not a formal bid process, but 3 proposals, that's the word. We went with the RFP from Wire Energy Group, and their total contract came out to, that does not look like the right number. I may have typed it in wrong, so I'm gonna have to look real quick. Well, you're not voting on that number. That's just, I'll make sure I get it updated for the minutes. It's right around there. It was by far the lowest proposal by, I want to say $200,000 was the next proposal, was higher than that one. And this is a plan to go through the buildings, and Jenny, jump in if you need to. We're converting light fixtures to LED and light switches so that they're motion activated. Is that it?
Yep.
It's a lot of light fixtures to convert, so, all right.
And they will actually replace, most of the casings are fine, but the ones that are not, that are too outdated, they'll replace the whole thing. So they went through and figured out how many.
And that's all 5 schools. They're gonna begin the project, they're hoping to in July and be done, substantial completion, that's the phrase, by September 1st. So this will be an almost immediate cost savings for this upcoming school year.
Gotta tell them to focus on the education areas first, so that way
Finished.
they're finished with classrooms and stuff
Yep.
first.
Yep.
Yep. You know, the teachers want to be in there.
So this is another thing I learned recently. So because this went through the RFP process, we now have a resolution that the board has to do under the guaranteed energy savings. So you're actually approving a resolution, which is in your packet, but what it's saying is that you're acknowledging, you're saying that the energy savings will, over the course of 20 years, pay for the project. And what you're doing is you're authorizing the superintendent to execute the contract on the board's behalf. So there is still some contract things that have to go on, but it should not substantially change from what we already have in the packet.
Done?
I am done.
Any other discussion?
This is strictly for lights and fixtures, not adding like a windmill or solar panels or anything like that, correct?
That's an interesting idea, I'm sure. No.
We all have flat roofs on all the schools.
I know, no, at this point, no, but Jenny?
So we have been speaking with some area companies who've already done the solar project, where we can get the panels basically for free. But we have so much going on right now, we are going to hold off for a little bit and do more research on it. But they do not recommend that we put more roofs. We have enough land, and that's the best efficiency for solar. But also our roofs will not hold the weight.
So yeah, this is, to answer your question, this is just the lighting.
Okay.
Yes, this is the lighting.
So you're saying that it's gonna take 20 years to recoup what we pay in?
Was it 3 on
I think in the
this?
proposal, they're estimating it's at the current energy rates, 3 years.
Oh, okay.
To be able not to bid it, you have to prove that you can recoup your costs within 20 years.
Okay. I was gonna say that's a.
Yeah.
Still long.
Yeah, well,
I switched the barber shop to all LED and I saved $50 a month. I spent $600, so I had it back in a year. That's small time compared to 5 schools.
Yeah, I mean, even for the
And-
village
and I-
change.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, thinking I might read this right.
And the other thing, just, I think you all probably know this, but it is not the same as in our houses where we would just change the light bulbs. In schools, because we have ballasts in here, you're either replacing the ballast or the whole fixture, like Jenny said. Yeah, I used to think, I'm like, wow, I just changed the light bulb in my house. All right.
All right, so do I need to reword this motion since the number is not correct up there?
No,
Okay.
the motion is still fine. I
Okay.
guess I'll correct it in a minute.
Okay, the motion to approve the resolution to enter in the guaranteed energy contract as presented. Okay, Ms. Pettit first, Mr. Brotherton second. You've been first every other time, so we'll put Ms. Pettit first.
John Brotherton.
Aye.
Andy Graham.
Aye.
Moto Johnson.
Aye.
Nikki Pettit.
Aye.
Tyler Wilson.
Aye.
All right.
Informational items.
I put a whole bunch in your packets for informational items, and that is partly to have them there for the public to see. So if you want to just make sure at some point you would take a look at those. But if we want to jump ahead to board and superintendent comments.
I'll do one first, and superintendent can go first.
You guys get to tell me what.
Go ahead.
I just have something that I'd like to read. It's from what you guys did. I just want, I had some question me about this, and I think this, what was put in the board pack was much better than how I explained it. It's about the lockbox that we had at the rental bank rental. It says, and again, thank you for doing this. For at least 10 years, the board has been using a safe deposit box to store closed session meeting recordings. In order to access the lockbox, at least 2 board members must go to the bank at the same time. That was certainly true because I was one of them. And you had to have 2, you could not have 1. This method for storing the recordings is effective but also excessive and cumbersome. I certainly agree. It is recommended the board discontinue using a safe deposit box at the bank rental and instead purchase a safe lockbox to be stored at the district's office. Only the board president and board secretary would have access to the safe. Key and/or combination. Having a lockbox on site would allow the board secretary to immediately securely store the recordings and eliminate the cost of the safe deposit box. So it was a question about why, what do you, what's it all about, So I think that was a very good way. Thank you. I would like to make sure that.
And you already approved it all.
And whenever that gets done, you and I want to go take the contents out of the lockbox and bring it in.
And I told Hannah to go ahead and go shopping. And she's gonna go find a safe, a little.
I don't, yeah, I'm gonna have to have some kind of idea.
We'll go together.
I don't know what the law.
Unless John's gonna put a lot in there, I don't think it needs to be very
No, it
big.
doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
We're
It's a very
shoebox,
small-
Some kind of an
Shoebox
idea.
size.
And then, I agree.
And so, because we're not
8
keeping
months or
secrets,
so, we have to
Yeah.
get rid of the old ones or something like that.
it's gonna go in,
Accumulation.
we have one of those old walk-in safes, which does get locked every night. So it'll go in that room, and then that room is locked every night also. That room is nuclear proof. It's one of those
I
walk-in
think
rooms.
Mr. Reed read that. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Does any other board member have anything? Well, I just want to say one more, appreciate the new board docs. It worked out great. I think it's going to be a good interface for all of us once we learn it properly, but even tonight's meeting went really smooth. So thank you, Hannah and Scott, for working us through that. And I want to reiterate that if any of you guys as board members have questions, please feel free to give me a call, give Scott a call, and we'll work through this. I already apologized to Mr. Johnson, but I did not follow through. I did not get him called. I tried 3 times this week and I didn't, but I ran into half the board out in public, so that's when I talked to him. So I'll make sure I call you next month and talk personally. So I apologize when I do that publicly. So that's all I have. Anybody else have anything?
I'll go.
Mhm.
Got a lot, of course. So I did want to share that in the last month, we have the district has worked with a graphic designer and we've redone the logos for the schools. Nothing major except Pleasant Acres got a major redo. So they're on this banner behind me. But I also gave each of you one of the stickers that we got for each of the buildings. So there was a bunch of redos for Ader. Because we do athletics and clubs, so there was a whole package that we did with them. So really Broadmeadow, Northview, and Eastland don't look that different. Okay, but Pleasant Acres, we were really excited about going because the Pleasant Acres, they're the Thunderbirds. And I am assuming, and I bet someone in here will know, that was named after the Air Force Thunderbirds, which is demonstration flight crew, and they fly Falcons. And so we changed the logo to be a fighting Falcon Thunderbird. It looks pretty cool. So, and Chris is here in the room and she's nodding, so she's okay with it. So, Anyway, so those stickers are for you guys, do what you want with them. So I got them all over my laptop here. Also, the district is participating in the Juneteenth celebration this Saturday at Wabash Park. We're going to be providing information about registering for and getting back to school. And we will be handing out, I call them icy pops, Hannah calls them freezy pops. Yes, so we're gonna, we'll also be participating in the 4th of July parade. In past years, the district, in recent history, the district has had maybe a school in the parade or the Aider band, but we're gonna have all 5 schools plus pre-K together in the parade this year. And I think you're gonna go buy candy too, so. All right, we need a candy budget, so when you see that on the next report, you'll know.
Whatever you buy is not gonna be enough,
Right.
it's from experience.
So you know.
Whatever you buy is not enough, and
Okay, so, well, Hannah thinks we should hand out freezer pops. That'll be hard to do though. All right, also just want to update about me that I have been attending the Rotary Club meetings and I think I'm a member, I don't know for sure yet, but Marcellus is going to be joining, we hope, the Rantoul Rotary also. I've been attending all of the safety task force meetings. We had another one last Saturday. I was hoping I would remember the date of the next one. Mr. Johnson, Board Member Johnson, was also at the last safety task force meeting. It was good. So that's all I had for board comments.
then just a reminder for you new ones to make sure after you've completed your trainings to get those to Hannah. So that way we're in compliance.
I need a copy, I have to have a copy on file.
He has to have a copy on file. I think everybody is done now.
I think so.
I think everybody's done.
Mr. Johnson just.
Yeah. And I know they had a problem getting the certificates for a while, so thank you guys for being prompt and getting that done quickly. Okay, any other comments from anybody? Okay, item number 7, motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
That's second.
motion by, a second by Ms. Pettit. I almost called you Ms. Cheat. That's gonna happen at some point in time. Okay.
Who made the motion?
Make a motion?
Tyler,
Okay, sorry. All right,
all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
You need a gavel. Remember, please see Hannah to get your signature.
Oh,
We're doing right.
John, do you do it in blue pen?
I've got,
Okay.
I've learned.